Have you ever stared at your credit card statement and felt that sinking feeling in your stomach? You know the one. That moment when the number on the screen stops being just digits and becomes something heavier. A weight pressing down on your chest. A reminder that somehow, somewhere along the way, you lost control. You're not alone. In fact, you're part of a carefully orchestrated system designed to keep you spinning in place while the house collects its winnings. Picture this. You're 24, fresh out of college. That first credit card feels like freedom. A golden ticket to the adult world. A swipe here for new shoes. A swipe there for weekend plans. You tell yourself you're building credit, right? But months later, something shifts. The excitement fades. The balance grows. And suddenly, you realize the game you thought you were playing? It was rigged from the start. Here's what they don't tell you. You think credit cards are just tools, but to the system, you're not a customer. You're a player in their casino. An emotional, impulsive player stepping into a room where the house always wins. That friendly banker who handed you your first card isn't your friend. They're the dealer counting on you not to read the fine print, giving you points while taking your peace of mind. The statistics are staggering. In 2025, Gen Z carries more credit card debt than millennials ever did. Over 67% of young adults don't even know their APR. Most can't tell you how much they actually owe. And nearly 8 in 10 only pay the minimum, month after month after month. This isn't laziness. This is how the system is designed, to reward distraction, to normalize stress, to keep you spinning inside their casino, thinking you're free while being fed chips you already paid for. But what if you could walk out of that room? What if you learned how the game actually works? What if you stopped being the mark and became the kind of player the house fears? In the next 45 minutes, I'm going to hand you the unspoken rulebook. You'll see how every swipe is part of a story, a trap, but also a potential transformation. I'll show you how to flip the odds, how to renegotiate the game, and how to leave the casino not in debt, but with your freedom, your credit score, and your sanity intact. This isn't about budgeting spreadsheets or cutting out lattes. This is about financial self-defense. This is about reclaiming control of your money story. Because no one is coming to save you, but once you see the truth, you'll realize you don't need them to. Chapter 1. The house always wins until you learn the rules. Every time you swipe your card, someone is betting against you. That someone isn't your enemy, it's the house. The invisible, well-dressed entity behind the curtain of every credit card transaction. They don't need to chase you or even lie to you. They just need you to not understand. Because when you don't understand, you comply without question. Let's shatter the illusion once and for all. Credit cards aren't the enemy. The ignorance surrounding them, that's the loaded weapon pointed at your financial future. Most people treat credit like it's radioactive, dangerous, unpredictable, toxic. But the danger isn't in the card itself. It's in the user who doesn't understand how the game works. The house doesn't rig the game through aggression. They rig it through your inattention. While you're busy debating whether to buy that $5 coffee, you're hemorrhaging thousands in interest, fees, and missed opportunities. Imagine this scenario. A 25-year-old buys a $999 sofa on a credit card with 29.999% APR. She misses one payment, then another. She starts paying only the minimum, $30 a month. Want to know how long it'll take her to pay it off? Over 9 years. How much that sofa actually costs her? $20,400. That's not furniture. That's a quiet financial ambush. This is how the house wins. Not through dramatic, obvious moves, but through small, invisible losses over time. Not with evil schemes, but with emotional fog. They know most people won't check their statements. They know you'll feel just guilty enough to pay something, but not enough to change everything. They count on shame keeping you silent and confusion keeping you compliant. But here's where everything changes. Once you start learning the rules, you begin to see through the glitter. You notice the difference between reward and trap. You realize that late fee wasn't an accident. It was an expectation built into their business model. The truth no bank will ever tell you is that debt isn't just math. It's emotional manipulation. They use your psychology against you, your optimism, your fear, your impulse to say yes now and figure it out later. But when you understand how the house wins, you unlock your first power, awareness. And awareness is the seed of liberation. Have you ever looked at your credit card balance, told yourself, it's not that bad, and then quickly closed the app? That moment right there. That's where your freedom was waiting for you to notice it. Chapter 2. The Seduction Loop. How credit cards whisper you into debt. They don't need to force you into debt. They just need to seduce you into it. The casino never begs you to stay. It offers free drinks. Your credit card doesn't demand your soul. It gives you points, cash back, miles, exclusive perks. It wraps the chains in silk ribbons. And while you're dazzled by rewards, your balance quietly compounds in the background. The seduction is beautifully subtle. You buy a whopping $200 flight, and the app immediately congratulates you. You've just earned 30,000 points. Your brain floods with dopamine. You think, wow, I'm winning this game. But are you really? That same card is charging you 24.99% APR. You make the minimum payment. The rest rolls over every single month. Suddenly, that free flight is costing you hundreds in interest. Let me tell you about Mike, a software engineer in Austin. Smart guy, good income. He swore he was hacking the system using 5 different credit cards for different perks. But here's what he didn't see. He was paying $347 a month in interest, every single month. And he was still bragging about how his Amex got him airport lounge access. He felt proud of his strategy until the day he added up what those perks had actually cost him over a year. Over $4,000. That's not a hack. That's a hustle. On him. What I want you to feel isn't guilt. It's clarity. The perks are a beautifully crafted illusion. They exist not to reward you, but to distract you from the real game being played. They give you just enough sugar to keep you coming back for more. And like any effective seduction, they work best when your guard is down. Here's the deep truth. When you're emotionally reactive with money, you lose every time. Credit card companies know this. That's why they market perks, not principles. That's why their ads show images of travel, style, and lifestyle, not spreadsheets, debt calculations, or stress. They want you thinking with your emotions, not your strategy. So, let me ask you this. Would you still be using that credit card if there were no points, no miles, no sign-up bonus? Would you still carry that balance if you didn't feel like you were being rewarded for it? If the answer is no, then you're not spending strategically. You're being seduced. And seduction only works on those who don't see it coming. But you do now. You see the loop. And when you can see the loop, you can break it. Chapter 3. The Invisible Rulebook. What they never taught you in school. You learned how to diagram sentences and solve for X. Maybe even memorize that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. But you know what they never taught you? How to read a credit card statement. How APR actually works. How compound interest can bury you alive. That wasn't an oversight. That was the system's greatest advantage. You walked into the financial casino without a rulebook, and they preferred it that way. Think about this progression. You graduate at 22, land your first real job, and suddenly your mailbox floods with offers. Congratulations, you've been pre-approved. Pre-approved for what exactly? For a game you've never been trained to play. You accept because it feels like a badge of adulthood. You swipe, you spend, and then comes the confusion. A number you don't understand. A payment you didn't plan for. A sinking feeling that this wasn't as harmless as it looked. Here's an experiment. Pull out your credit card agreement right now, if you can even find it. Notice the microscopic font. Notice the jargon. Words like variable APR, grace period, default clause. It's not written to inform you. It's written to disarm you. The less you understand, the more you comply. The more confused you feel, the less likely you are to fight back. This isn't conspiracy theory territory. This is behavioral economics in action. In 2025, financial literacy still isn't a required subject in 90% of high schools. Yet, almost every adult has a credit card by age 25. Think about that. It's like handing people a loaded weapon without telling them where the safety is. The house profits from your silence. They don't need you to fail catastrophically. They just need you to drift, to pay minimums, to avoid your statements, to delay asking for help, to stay financially numb. But here's what changes everything. The moment you understand how the system works, you take away its power over you. The moment you decode their rulebook, you transform from victim to player. What they never taught you in school is exactly what you needed most. How to protect yourself financially. How to read fine print that matters. How to question seductive offers. How to do math that actually impacts your life. If the rules were hidden from you your whole life, what else have you been playing blind? Now that the curtain's lifted, Now that you can see the machinery behind the velvet rope, it's time to stop being a pawn and start being a strategist. Chapter 4. Playing offense, stop running from debt, start strategizing. Defense is how most people survive their financial lives. Offense is how smart money players thrive. When you're on defense, you hide from statements, ignore calls, and avoid money conversations. You pay just enough to quiet the guilt, but not enough to change your trajectory. But the moment you shift to offense, everything transforms. Suddenly, you're not reacting to your finances, you're designing them. Meet Bianca, a 28-year-old teacher who was $18,700 deep in credit card debt. Each monthly statement felt like a physical blow. For 2 years, she did what most people do, nothing but minimum payments and avoidance. Then one morning, she called her credit card company and said 6 words she never thought she'd have the courage to say: "I want a lower interest rate." To her amazement, they didn't hang up. They negotiated. They dropped her APR from 26% to 16%. That single conversation saved her over $5,500 in interest in 1 year. That call changed everything. She automated her payments, set up weekly money check-ins, and 14 months later, she was completely debt-free. That's what playing offense looks like. It's not dramatic or loud. It's consistent and strategic, and it begins with one powerful decision. I refuse to be controlled by financial silence. Here's what you need to understand. Money is emotional, but wealth is systematic. Your emotions will always fluctuate based on your day, your mood, your circumstances. But systems obey. When you automate your payments, you remove daily decision fatigue. When you set up alerts, you reduce shame-driven avoidance. When you call your lender to negotiate, you realize something radical. They're not in control of your financial future. You are. Most people think wealthy individuals obsess over every penny in detailed budgets. The truth is, wealthy people automate the boring financial maintenance so they can focus on bigger strategic moves. They don't sit around with spreadsheets every night. They design systems that create positive momentum even on their worst days. What would happen if you stopped avoiding your debt and started systematically attacking it? Not emotionally, not sporadically, but with a clear plan. What if you became the person who walked into financial institutions not with fear, but with strategy? Playing offense isn't about aggression, it's about preparation. It's about transforming credit from something that haunts you into something that works for you. Chapter 5, Your Financial Passport, the Credit Score Game. Your credit score is your adult report card, but unlike school, nobody tells you when you're failing. There are no pop quizzes, no warning bells, no parent-teacher conferences. Just silent consequences that compound over time. Higher rent deposits, denied loans, lost job opportunities. That 3-digit number doesn't just follow you through life, it defines how the financial world treats you. Picture this scenario. 2 equally qualified job candidates walk into an interview. Same resume, same degree, same work experience. But one has a 780 credit score, the other has a 580. When HR quietly pulls credit reports as part of their background check, which candidate gets the offer? It's not about job skills. It's about the signal your score sends about responsibility and reliability. Your credit score isn't measuring how much money you have. It's measuring how you behave with borrowed money. It tracks your trustworthiness in the language of patterns. Do you pay on time consistently? Do you use only a small portion of your available credit? Do you carry debt for appropriate periods? The algorithm doesn't care if you had one terrible month. It tracks what you do consistently over time. Yet most people treat their credit score like an unsolvable mystery. They don't check it regularly. They don't understand what factors influence it. They assume it's too late to improve. That's the real tragedy. Not the score itself, but the surrender. Here's the reframe. Your credit score isn't a moral judgment of your worth as a person. It's a strategic tool for accessing opportunities. It's your financial passport in a world where nearly everything, from insurance premiums to rental applications to job offers, is influenced by that number. Think of your credit score as your digital passport. A weak one limits where you can go, what doors open for you, how institutions treat you. A strong score speeds up approvals, lowers your costs, and earns respect without you saying a word. What do financially successful people do differently? They pay every bill on time, every time. They keep credit utilization under 30%, ideally under 10%. They don't open credit accounts impulsively. They maintain older accounts to build payment history. They treat their credit score like tending a garden, not playing the lottery. Have you been ignoring your financial passport? Have you handed control of your economic future to an algorithm you don't understand? The beautiful truth is this. Once you realize the credit game isn't rigged, just hidden, you can start winning it consistently. Chapter 6. The 6 Financial Commandments and the one everyone breaks. There's a quiet code whispered among those who've mastered the credit card game. It's not flashy or Instagram-worthy. It won't get you viral fame or party bragging rights. But it works with mathematical precision. They call it the boring advantage, and it starts with 6 sacred principles that are simple, silent, and ruthlessly effective. Commandment 1. Pay on time, every single time. Even one missed payment can crater your score for years. Not months, years. This isn't negotiable. It's the foundation everything else builds on. Commandment 2. Keep utilization low. If your limit is $10,000 and you regularly spend $7,000, the system flags you as risky even if you pay it off monthly. Stay under 30% utilization, under 10% if you want to look like financial royalty. Commandment 3. Age your accounts like fine wine. The longer your credit history, the stronger your score. That old card you never use? Keep it open. It's your golden anchor in a sea of algorithms. Commandment 4. Don't open accounts impulsively. Every new credit inquiry sends a signal. Is this person financially desperate? Space out applications strategically. Be methodical, not reactive. Commandment 5. Diversify your credit types. Having only credit cards is fine, but adding a responsibly managed auto loan or mortgage shows you can handle different types of credit. Your profile starts singing a more sophisticated tune. Commandment 6. Monitor your score religiously. You can't optimize what you don't measure. Use free monitoring tools, check monthly, dispute errors immediately. Stay alert and engaged. But here's the commandment almost everyone breaks. Never play with emotion. Let me tell you about Kevin. Great income. Followed 5 of the 6 commandments religiously. But every time he had a rough day, he swiped his card. Bad week, new shoes, relationship drama, new phone, work stress, expensive dinner. He was technically obedient but emotionally reckless. The result? Debt that danced just outside his control. This reveals the deeper truth. Behavior trumps knowledge every time. You can memorize all 6 commandments, but if you use credit cards to medicate emotional wounds, the house still wins. The truly successful players don't just follow rules. They build systems that make emotions irrelevant. They automate payments, set usage alerts, create cooling-off periods for purchases. They design their financial lives to win by default, not by daily discipline. Which of these commandments are you already following? Which ones have you been breaking? And most importantly, have you been playing with logic or letting emotions drive your financial decisions? Chapter 7. The Deadbeat Hero. Why Smart Players Never Pay Interest. There's a name banks whisper behind closed doors, with grudging respect and mild irritation. Deadbeats. Not criminals or financial dropouts, but those who use credit cards strategically and never pay a cent in interest. To the banking system, they're an anomaly, a glitch in the profit matrix. But to those who understand the game at its highest level, they're legends. Here's the beautiful paradox. Credit card companies hate deadbeats, yet reward them lavishly. Why? Because these players extract maximum value. Points, cashback, travel rewards, purchase protection, while denying the house its favorite revenue stream, interest payments. The advice, be a deadbeat, sounds counterintuitive, but it's pure strategic genius. It means you're not avoiding credit. You're dominating it. You're collecting every perk, every protection, every benefit the system offers, but you're paying your balance in full every single month. You're never penalized, never trapped, never owned. Meet Melissa, a 31-year-old freelance designer. She runs all business expenses through her Chase Sapphire card. She gets extended warranties, fraud protection, and earns enough points for a free trip to Japan annually. Her secret weapon? Automated full balance payments. Always. She uses the card as a precision tool, not an emotional crutch. When a client payment runs late, she adjusts her budget instead of swiping impulsively. Her credit score, 812. Her financial stress, nearly 0. This is elite-level play, not avoiding credit out of fear, but mastering it so completely it becomes a wealth-building instrument. You don't win by refusing to play the game. You win by becoming the type of player the casino fears, the one who walks in confidently, accepts their hospitality, collects the rewards, and leaves without ever feeding the profit machine. Being a deadbeat isn't about financial deprivation. It's about ultimate freedom. You're free from guilt, free from fear, free from the fog of revolving debt. In 2025, where every transaction is tracked and monetized, you become a ghost in their system, present, powerful, and profitable only to yourself. Have you been avoiding credit out of fear or using it with surgical precision? What would change if you committed today to never carrying a balance again? No exceptions, no minimum payments, just complete control. Once you cross that line and decide to become a deadbeat in the system's eyes, you don't just stop losing. You start winning entirely on your own terms. Chapter 8. The Strategic Escape: How to Eliminate Debt Without Drowning. Most people don't drown in debt from a single financial tsunami. They slowly sink in silence. It starts innocuously. A pair of shoes here, a dinner out there, an unexpected car repair. You tell yourself you'll pay it off next month. Then interest compounds. Life happens. And suddenly those numbers aren't just mathematics. They're shame, chest-tightening anxiety every time you open your banking app, and the quiet terror that maybe you'll never escape. But debt isn't a life sentence. It's a system problem, and systems can be redesigned. Meet Jamal, a 29-year-old graphic designer who owed $42,000 across 5 credit cards. Every month felt like financial roulette, paying a little here, a little there, always behind, always overwhelmed. Until one day, he printed every statement and faced the brutal truth. I owe more than my entire annual salary. Instead of spiraling into despair, he made a radical choice. He chose to become obsessed with simplicity. He implemented the debt snowball method, started with the smallest balance, $900, knocked it out completely in 2 months, then tackled the next smallest, and the next. Every victory provided emotional fuel for the next battle. He called each credit card company and negotiated lower interest rates. He automated minimum payments, canceled unnecessary subscriptions, and funneled every spare dollar into debt elimination. 14 months later, completely free. Not wealthy, not flashy, but financially peaceful. Here's the crucial insight. Debt isn't just mathematics. It's deeply emotional. And emotions don't respond to spreadsheets and calculators. They respond to momentum and progress. That's why the snowball method works better psychologically than the avalanche method for most people. Mathematically, paying highest interest first saves more money. Psychologically, small wins create belief, and belief creates unstoppable movement. Your challenge is this: stop making debt a shame story and start making it a strategy story. Print out your balances, list your interest rates. Choose your method, snowball or avalanche. It doesn't matter which. What matters is the commitment to systematic progress over perfection. Have you been letting the mountain of debt paralyze you into inaction? What would happen if you stopped trying to leap over it in one bound and just committed to moving one stone every single day? The credit card casino counts on you staying seated at their table, spinning their wheel, living in confusion, and making minimum payments forever. But once you stand up and start walking toward the exit, something powerful happens. You stop being their player and start becoming the author of your own financial story. Chapter 9. The Elite Player: When the System Pays You. Imagine walking into the most exclusive room in any casino. The lights dim sophisticatedly. Velvet ropes part automatically. Nobody asks for your ID. You're personally invited. Free premium service, VIP access, no waiting in lines. Why this royal treatment? Because you're not just any player. You're what they call a high roller. And in the credit card world, true high rollers don't gamble with their money. They collect rewards while the house pays them. This is the final evolution. The transformation from financial defense to complete dominance. From avoiding debt to leveraging credit so strategically that the system rewards you lavishly for your precision. Meet Alina, a 33-year-old travel nurse. She doesn't just have excellent credit. She orchestrates it like a symphony. Her system is elegantly simple. 3 cards total. 1 optimized for travel perks, 1 for daily expenses, 1 backup for fraud protection. Every single swipe is intentional. Groceries earn points, flights accumulate miles, insurance payments generate cash back. She hasn't paid 1 cent in interest for over 6 years. Last summer, she flew to Greece business class, entirely on accumulated points. The twist? She's not wealthy by traditional standards. She's just surgically precise with her strategy. She's playing at a level most people don't even know exists. Here's the truth about building real wealth. It's not about your income level. It's about understanding how to extract maximum value from systems designed to extract value from you. Credit cards offer layers of protection and perks that most people never utilize. Trip insurance, rental car coverage, fraud monitoring, extended warranties, price protection. But companies don't advertise these aggressively. Why? Because they don't want average users behaving like Alina. They want you chasing points while carrying balances, staying distracted instead of strategic. What does an elite player do differently? They automate full balance payments monthly, no exceptions. They never spend more than they can immediately afford to pay. They optimize for perks that align with their actual lifestyle, not impressive upgrades they don't need. They treat credit not like a financial lifeline, but like a precision instrument, controlled, calculated, intentional. Have you been using your credit card strategically, or have they been using you? Are you walking into the financial casino with a clear plan, or just hoping to get lucky? When you truly master credit, something remarkable happens. The system starts bending toward you. Interest rates drop automatically. Credit limits increase. Exclusive opportunities appear. Banks call you with special offers. Suddenly, you're not reacting to financial circumstances. You're orchestrating them. You're ready now. Ready to leave the credit card casino permanently. Not in shame, not in debt, not in confusion, but as the type of player who walks away with the rewards, the perks, and most importantly, complete financial control. Your final decision. Will you play differently now? You entered the credit card casino thinking you understood the game. Now you see the reality, the flashing lights, seductive perks, and carefully maintained silence around the real rules. None of it was about your financial freedom. It was about keeping you distracted while the house collected its winnings. But that was before today. Now you know what's really happening behind the velvet curtain. You've discovered how the system actually works, how the house wins through your silence and confusion, how the seduction loop turns perks into financial poison, how they hid the rulebook you needed most, how to stop playing defense and go on strategic offense, how your credit score becomes your financial passport, the 6 commandments that separate winners from losers, why the smartest players become deadbeats the system fears, your systematic escape plan from debt paralysis, how elite players make the casino pay them. So, what happens next? You could close this video and return to autopilot, back to minimum payments and financial avoidance, back to swiping in the dark and hoping for the best. Or you could decide that today is the last day you let someone else write your money story. Here's what I want you to do right now. Drop a comment below and tell me which insight hit you hardest. What financial rule are you committing to change starting today? And if this video helped you see through the fog of financial confusion, subscribe to join a community of people who refuse to play victim to systems designed to exploit them. Remember this truth: the house always wins, unless you learn to turn the house into your servant. The choice, as always, is yours.